An endowment, of course, is when a donor makes a large gift to an organization and allows that nonprofit to use the interest that that endowment is producing in its programs. So when we save an organization, let's say $40,000, then the endowment equivalent of that is probably 25 times, let's call it $1 million worth of endowment funds it would take to produce that $40,000. And therefore, it's like getting $1 million endowment check, because the benefits of that, the $40,000 a year, is year after year. And so it's a big deal to save $40,000 or 10 or 20 or any number. Everybody that we've ever worked with will echo the fact that we find savings and organization keeps that. It supplements their fundraising. And if we don't, we pat them on the back, tell them to keep up a great work, give them a nice letter, and there's no fees. So there is no downside to this. And it's exactly what we're saying. And any number of our references will say the exact same thing despite their initial skepticism. We identify a handful of areas that they might be curious about potential savings. They don't have to be areas where they're feeling pain, but they're open to a free assessment to determine whether, if in fact, maybe there's some savings there to explore. And this is done at no cost to the organization. There's no risk. They don't have to implement the ideas. There's no fee. Eventually, if savings are implemented, then we participate in those savings. That's the only way we're paid. So we consider ourselves resultants rather than consultants. The CEO really needs to set the stage for this, because we're not trying to make anybody look bad. We're just trying to find savings for an organization so they don't have to raise as much. Or it'll help their fundraising efforts because they've saved money. It's up to the CEO to comfort the finance folks that A, this is not going to require much work on their part, if any, frankly, and they are not going to be made to look bad. In fact, they're a hero just for helping coordinate and cooperate with this very low time investment to find potential savings in their organization. And you know, sometimes we don't find savings, and that's not a bad thing either. If you can tell your board of directors that you brought in third-party experts and they looked at a number of different things and we were doing a great job and there was no cost to that exercise, that's not a bad thing either. So there's really only two outcomes in this process, and they're both positive. One of them is that we find no savings, pat everybody on the back, and there's no cost. The other one is that we find a bunch of savings and it's money that they don't have to raise, or it supplements the work that they're already doing.